winter wind swept across the wooden auction yard, carrying the scent of dust, smoke, and fear. On the platform, young Arapaho women were lined up, their wrists bound, faces pale with resignation. Traders barked prices, men laughed, and coins clinked. One by one, the girls were sold, their futures bargained away like livestock. Soon, only one remained, a 21-year-old named Ayana. Her dark eyes burned with silent defiance, but her body trembled. She stood alone, the last of her people, in that cruel market. The trader smirked, ready to finish the sale with mockery. The crowd jeered, some men shouting obscenities, others calling out insults at the girl's heritage. "Last one, strong enough to work, young enough to bear children," the trader boasted, his voice echoing across the yard. Ayana clenched her jaw, refusing to cry. She would not give them her tears. The bids began, low and mocking, as if her life was worth no more than a sack of grain. But then, from the edge of the gathering, a figure stepped forward, a tall rancher, broad-shouldered, with silver at his temples. His name was Matthew, a 44-year-old widower. The crowd hushed when Matthew's boots struck the wooden boards. His reputation in the county was known. He was a man of few words, a man who had lost more than he'd ever gained. He looked at the trembling young woman, not with lust or cruelty, but with quiet recognition of pain, of loneliness, of survival. $100, Matthew said, his voice steady. Gasps rippled through the onlookers. That sum was more than triple what anyone had offered before. The trader blinked, stunned. No one dared counter. With a greedy grin, he shoved Ayana forward. Ayana stumbled down the steps, landing at Matthew's boots. She braced herself, expecting the rough grip of another cruel owner. Instead, Matthew bent down, untied her wrists, and spoke softly, so only she could hear. "You're free now." She blinked, confused. The words sounded foreign, almost impossible. He placed his coat around her thin shoulders and led her away, leaving behind whispers and laughter. Some men mocked him for wasting money, others called him a fool, but Matthew didn't care. For the first time in years, he felt his heart stir with purpose. The wagon wheels groaned as Matthew drove out of the town, Ayana sitting beside him, silent. Her hands trembled in her lap, unsure if she should trust this man. He kept his eyes on the frozen trail ahead. Finally, she whispered, "Why?" The single word hung heavy in the cold air. Matthew took a long breath. "Because no one deserves to be treated like cattle," he said quietly. She turned her head, studying his weathered face. He wasn't like the others. His eyes carried sorrow, but also a kindness she hadn't seen in years. When they reached his ranch, the land stretched wide under the dying light, dotted with horses and fences. A warm fire glowed from the cabin windows. Matthew helped her down, guiding her inside. "This is your home now," he said. The word home almost broke her. It had been years since she had one. Inside, he set a plate of stew on the table and bowed his head in prayer. Ayana hesitated, then joined him. For the first time since her capture, she ate without fear. His silence was not coldness, it was respect. Days turned into weeks. At first, Ayana kept her distance, speaking little, always wary. But Matthew gave her space, never demanding, never cruel. He showed her how to feed the horses, mend the fences, and plant seeds for spring. She worked beside him, her spirit returning, bit by bit. Slowly, laughter escaped her lips again, soft at first, then stronger. She began to hum old songs as she cooked, songs of her people. Matthew listened quietly, the melodies stirring something long buried inside his chest. The neighbors whispered, of course. They called him a fool, some even a traitor, for bringing an Arapaho woman into his home. At the general store, men spat when Matthew walked by, but he paid them no mind. At night, sitting by the fire, Ayana asked him, "Why don't you care?" "What they say," He shrugged, staring into the flames. Because I know what it's like to lose everything. I won't let them take from you what's left. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the rare gift of being seen as human again. As spring thawed the land, the ranch transformed with color, and so did their lives. Ayana tended the garden, her hair catching sunlight, her laughter filling the once silent cabin. Matthew's loneliness faded, replaced by something he hadn't thought possible again: hope. One evening, as they walked the pasture, Ayana stopped and turned to him. "You gave me back my dignity," she said softly. Matthew's throat tightened. He looked at her with quiet reverence. "No," he whispered, "you gave me back my life." In that moment, two broken souls, one older and one young, found a new beginning together.